Today we'll be ranking detectives by their chances of catching Dexter, and here's how the rankings work. As we all know that Dexter is quite the guy to catch, and is also a pretty typical detective villain. So we'll be starting off with none other than Hercule Period. Hercule Poirot is a meticulous Belgian detective known for his sharp intellect, logical reasoning, and the use of psychology to understand people's motives. He approaches cases with patience and a deep understanding of human behavior, relying heavily on the little gray cells in his mind. However, on the other hand, Dexter is skilled at masking his true identity as a serial killer, blending into society by emulating normal behaviors. This psychological awareness allows him to manipulate those around him while hiding his darker side. In short, Dexter's intellect is multifaceted, combining scientific expertise, psychological insight, and a strategic mind that helps him navigate his double life as both a crime solver and a murderer. And if these two were to go toe-to-toe, let's be honest, Poirot will mostly reveal Dexter Morgan's secret. However, Dexter, with his own dark tendencies and ability to stay composed under pressure, might try to manipulate Poirot's sense of justice, or even attempt to outsmart him with his own deadly methods. It would likely come down to whether Poirot can expose Dexter's dark side before Dexter can eliminate him, but Poirot's focus on psychological insight might ultimately give him the upper hand, and Dexter ultimately might get a death sentence, so he's going in at number 1, getting him on death row. Alright, so Poirot is victorious, but who of all these people is going next? Let's find out. Before y'all say anything, Dexter is not winning this one. L absolutely destroys Dexter. I mean, he slams him. We've seen the way he operates. No one knows what or where L is, and he has proved his deductive abilities over and over again in his universe. But let's just say, there's a possibility for Dexter, because he also knows how to cover up his tracks quite well, as his father, who worked in Miami PD, taught him everything about it, so it may be possible that Dexter's habit of always cleans up after missions might put him at a little advantage, but L not only observes the scenes of the crime and the victims, he actually observes the people he works with. L would likely start investigating Dexter by analyzing patterns in the killings that Dexter has carried out under his Code of Harry. Lee's ability to connect subtle details could lead him to suspect Dexter, especially as Dexter often positions himself close to the investigation of his own crimes. However, Dexter, once aware that L is onto him, would meticulously plan to eliminate L, as he has done with other adversaries. However, L's reclusive and unpredictable nature would make it difficult for Dexter to get close. L's intellect and investigative prowess give him an edge, as he could systematically dismantle Dexter's carefully crafted facade. While Dexter might initially try to outmaneuver L's ability to anticipate moves and set traps would likely expose Dexter. In the end, L's relentless pursuit of truth might prevail over Dexter's methodical but ultimately flawed strategies. But this may very well be a close call, so L's going in at finds out everything. Alright, so till now we have ranked 2 people, and they have kicked Dexter's ass. However, we still have world's greatest detective, but before he swings along, we'll be having Humphrey Bogart. Bogart's characters are often street smart, quick-witted, and morally ambiguous. They thrive in tense situations, navigating complex webs of deceit while maintaining a cool, detached demeanor. His instincts for self-preservation and ability to read people make him a formidable opponent, and Dexter's emotional detachment and compulsions can sometimes blind him to more subtle human factors, especially those rooted in charisma or unpredictability. But Dexter's intellect, forensic expertise, and psychological insight give him the tools to meticulously plan and execute his moves. He operates in a world of evidence and precision, often staying several steps ahead of his targets. However, while his characters are clever, they rely on gut instincts and interpersonal manipulation, which might not be enough against someone as methodical and calculated as Dexter. And this will be a crazy battle between the both of them, and even though Bogart has the cleverness, he lacks the well execution of plans that Dexter has, and when Bogart suspects Dexter's weakness, he might exploit it, and his biggest weaknesses are connections to the people he loves. And even though he might make Dexter the primary suspect of his cases, he still won't be gathering enough evidence against him, or maybe none at all, and may get tricked by one of Dexter's traps. So he's going into the tricked by Dexter tier.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
Well, Humphrey Bogart got absolutely smashed by Dexter, and right now 3 of the 2 detectives have beaten Dexter, but who's next? This is going to be an extremely close call because on one hand, we have Lincoln, who is a brilliant forensic criminologist with a razor-sharp mind. Even though he is physically disabled and bedridden, his unparalleled ability to analyze evidence and connect seemingly unrelated details makes him a formidable investigator. He excels in identifying patterns and predicting a criminal's next move. However, Dexter is a forensic genius and a master of covering his tracks. He is methodical, disciplined, and deeply knowledgeable about crime scenes and police procedures. His ability to blend in with society while leading a double life gives him an edge in staying undetected, and Rhymes' physical limitations mean he relies entirely on his team and his mental abilities to act. If cut off from resources or if the situation demands physical action, his vulnerability increases, though Dexter also has his own weaknesses. His compulsion to kill, his dark passenger, can make him predictable to someone who understands his pattern. He's also vulnerable to opponents who can match his intellect in a controlled analytical setting. Lincoln would start by analyzing patterns in the murders Dexter commits. With his forensic expertise, Rhyme would likely notice the precision and lack of traditional evidence at Dexter's crime scenes. Rhyme's ability to reconstruct events from tiny clues might lead him to deduce Dexter's identity, particularly given Dexter's proximity to the investigations as a blood spatter analyst. Dexter would recognize Rhyme as a threat early and might attempt to neutralize him. However, getting to Rhyme would be challenging due to his protective team and their constant surveillance. Dexter's tactical approach would involve creating diversions or framing others to mislead Rhyme's team. Rhyme's brilliance and resourceful team would eventually expose Dexter. Dexter's overconfidence in his ability to outsmart investigators might lead to his undoing when faced with someone as sharp as Rhyme, who thrives on uncovering the truth in the most complex cases, or Dexter could eliminate Rhyme if he finds a way to bypass his team and exploit Rhyme's physical vulnerability. However, this would require extraordinary circumstances. And keeping everything in mind, Lincoln is going into the gathers little evidence tier. And going next against Dexter is none other than Sherlock Holmes. Holmes would quickly identify anomalies in the murder scenes left by Dexter. His ability to spot even the smallest inconsistencies, such as Dexter's forensic cleaning up, would lead him to question why certain details are missing. Holmes's network, combined with his brilliant deduction, would soon connect Dexter's proximity to the murders through his job as a blood spatter analyst. Holmes's curiosity and focus on justice would drive him to outthink Dexter at every turn, creating traps to expose him. Dexter, while intelligent, operates within a framework that relies on staying hidden, which Holmes could unravel through sheer observation and deduction. Holmes's unmatched deductive reasoning would expose Dexter's identity. He would use his understanding of Dexter's patterns and psychology to predict his next move, eventually cornering him and bringing him to justice.